IP infringement rife in NFTs, but new laws are not needed, according to a US government report. So this was from a Cointelegraph article as well. The US government has carried out a report on intellectual property infringement in the world of NFTs. So while piracy and infringement are rampant in NFT markets, the report concludes that current IP laws are sufficient and no new legislation is necessary. Sandy, do you agree with that?
Look, I think this reflects that what I was talking about before with ICC and the US government in general, just having the stance that if they create laws for the crypto space, then it will, in a sense, legitimize them, almost sanction them in the way they operate. But look, in this specific case, they may not be wrong, because I think there's a bit of confusion in terms of what NFT represents in terms of authentication, proof of ownership, this kind of thing. That's not really the same concept as IP ownership. For example, an artist who draws a painting might then sell it, but he still owns the IP, but the painting is owned by whoever now bought the painting. And that's very similar to how NFTs will work, in the sense that, you have all these NFTs created, and you might have this token there, the NFT token, that now tells you that you're the owner without any doubt. It's provable on chain, but that doesn't say anything about the IP, right? Like, the IP can still be owned by somebody else, that the artist or whoever issued the NFT token as a company. That's a separate issue. Now, if somebody else then copies all of that and then creates a copycat NFT collection, it often is then the actual original token issuers that have the IP to sue. And that's happened, I think, in the case of cyberpunks. At the end of the day, when there was copycat cyberpunks being issued by somebody else, it was a studio that originally created the cyberpunks that sued them for IP infringement. It wouldn't be the individual owners that own the NFTs, because they don't own the underlying IP. And so in that sense, copyright infringement or whatever it is, that framework still functions quite independently from the NFT tech. The main issue you really face is how to enforce it. Technically, there's a smart contract there that's immutable. If you know who the creator is, maybe you can get to that person and issue them with an injunction or whatever it is that you got to go and fix it, take that down or whatever. But if you don't even know who created it and it's immutable, it's there on the blockchain, you can't really take it down. What can you even do about it? What has happened in the past is where you then go after maybe third-party NFT selling platforms like OpenSea, for example, is one of the biggest ones that allows people to trade NFTs on the secondhand market, I guess. So you can then, they have the IP policy. If you can prove that these guys are copying your collection, you can get them to take down that collection. You could even use a DMCA notice if it's a US-based one. So as long as OpenSea then decides to take it down, what you do is you remove a lot of visibility for the copycat collection. But you can never really actually remove it from the blockchain, because it's there, it's immutable. So that's really the main issue. I think the main difference is the enforcement, and that's not something you can necessarily address by changing the laws. The fact of the matter is, if it's on the blockchain and can't be taken down, no amount of law saying that you have to take it down is going to make a difference.
Yeah, that's really interesting as well, because there's a number of issues that have arisen with AI NFTs that are being created. So where the data set has pictures that are already in existence, and those pictures are then used to create another photograph or picture. What are the legal issues that arise there? Now, interestingly, the solution that's been proposed that I've heard about is using blockchain technology in the actual data set itself, so that you can track what data is actually being produced on chain. So, for example, if you decentralize artificial intelligence and you have a decentralized storage facility as well, and you input the data in that decentralized storage facility so that the original works can be found, you can actually track on chain whether or not the new item that's been created with AI has in fact been created using a picture that's already been in existence. So it's a proposed solution that's still at the very early stages. It touches on some of the AI legal issues that are starting to arise. And again, it's another example of how do you allow a revolutionary technology to establish itself without creating a lot of red tape that will stifle innovation. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really interested in the NFT issues that are produced by AI.
Yeah, interesting. This is maybe slightly off topic, but on the topic of AI and copyright, interestingly, there's never been an issue with a person looking at a bunch of photos or artwork or whatever it is and deciding to create their own content using those photos as an inspiration for the style, for example. But the problem with AI is it's almost cheating in the sense that it can look at so many thousands of data at once and process it all together. Also, the technical point of, for an AI to do this, they need to keep a copy of the product. right? So they need to actually have a copy of the data somewhere and then process it. And then if they then use that for commercial gain, often when you look at exceptions for fair use or something, fair dealing in Australia, as they call it, when you start using it for commercial gain, you're probably going beyond any fair dealing defense. Whereas for a person who's doing this, they haven't copied the painting. Maybe they're looking at a legitimate version of the painting, for example, and they just looked at it and decided that, okay, I'm going to draw something in a similar style inspired by that, and it's my original creation. There's no problem. There's no copyright infringement. But for AI, it's a different ballgame. Even though the AI technically may be doing something that human would otherwise be doing, but just on a bigger scale. So that's an interesting point as well for as far as how IP would apply to AI.
Yeah, and just looking more broadly at the question of, do we need legal reform to deal with these new technologies? Some people jump straight to, yes, we need, specific tailored legislation for crypto or NFTs or what have you. But I tend to prefer, if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach. And this is kind of refreshing, just to see that they've said what we have now is totally fine. There are practical challenges that need to be overcome, but the legal frameworks are there and they are suitable for dealing with these issues. There'll be a lot of court cases, there'll be a lot of commercial challenges in the future, but that doesn't mean we need to overhaul the legal system, whether it's for NFTs, IP, AI, or the like.
I agree. My biggest concern when it comes to regulation is really where it impacts the consumer in a negative way. So I'm less interested in regulating the technology just for the sake of preventing like an arbitrary copyright infringement claim. I'm more concerned with, are there any privacy issues here that we need to be concerned about? As we know, with a lot of the tech companies, they were operating in the space for almost a decade before any big privacy issues were sort of recognized. And the extent to which those privacy issues impact consumers aren't fully known yet. So there are some protections that are required there. That's really where I think we need to regulate, if we do regulate these technologies. It's how does it affect the consumer? Does it affect anything that can potentially infringe on their human rights, for example? There's some interesting issues that come from freedom to think. If you've got algorithms that can basically predict everything that you do based on your internet search history, do we need something there that prevents some of that?